For those of us who remember, of course, the big promises of 2016, the big one in particular was that it really didn't matter that we were going to leave the single market and customs union, because what was going to happen? And of course, this came right, of course, from the chief arch Brexiteer himself, Nigel Farage, who almost recently, and should be pointed out, has said Brexit has failed. So much for all that fantastic Brexit stuff you said back in the past, hey, Nigel? He obviously went out and said in 2016 that didn't matter. If we left, we would get an absolutely corking, amazing deal from Europe, and especially from Germany. Why would that happen? Why all of a sudden would Germany turn around and give us this amazing trade deal? Well, according to him, it was going to be the German car manufacturing industry. Yes, they sent so many cars. They sold so many German BMWs, Audis, whatever. Again, not a car person. So there's going to be someone who said, that's not a German car make. They are going to insist that this was going to be the case. This was why we were going to get an amazing trade deal. The German car industry is going to go to Angela Merkel and say, you must give the UK a good deal, because if you don't, and that tended to be where it stopped, to be honest. Not why, of course, they would go to Angela Merkel and say, this is why. No, it was that the German car industry would just go to Angela Merkel and say, you have to give the UK a good deal. And as always, the German car industry has never come riding to our success, and even was one of the first groups that the Brexiteers often talked about who came out and said, no, thank you. We're all right being in the single market and customs union. Thank you very much. We prefer it. And of course, with the big changes from combustion driven engines in cars, but over very much so to a electric vehicle future, the UK is scrambling desperately in an attempt to try and sort this out. And of course, another big Brexit promise. So much for the restoration of British manufacturing. Yet another blown Brexit promise, even when we know we need some serious investment into our electric car vehicle future, not only just in that, into the building of the vehicles, the infrastructure itself, but also mainly and most importantly, the batteries. Sunak, the Brexiteers, the current government has failed on every single time. It has tried to do that. And instead, current car manufacturers in the UK are looking over to Europe, they're looking over to America, because they are offering big incentives, subsidies, grants, land, you name it. They are offering a ton of stuff because they know they have to make this transition, and they know that they need to improve the manufacturing here to be able to build that future. So it is with no doubt that Europe has gone, okay, we're gonna, open our hand here to you, the UK. We're gonna give you a chance to this. So they've said, hey, why not talk about changing your post-Brexit trade pact with us to make it things easier so that you can do, your thing, and you can all invest and it'll be fine. And, we'll grow together. It is Europe genuinely trying to offer an open hand to us. And whether or not Rishi Sunak actually takes it, I highly doubt it, because it will probably be seen very, very much so as a capitulation to Europe, or at least that's how the Brexiteers will put it. And of course, what is this? Well, of course, it's the rules of origin, because in particular, electric car vehicles, I think, need to be under the rules of origin. Need to be about at least 45% of their parts sourced in the UK and sort of Europe to be able to sort of pass those rules of origin. Of course, the difficulty then comes to the batteries, because the batteries that rises from 45 to 60%. And most batteries are currently made in Europe. They're made in China, Japan, and South Korea. And the EU has laid it out very simply. We do not want to extend these deadlines because if we do, then, well, there's a chance that these companies will just line up distribution lines to those countries that can build the batteries rather than build that business here, which would be far, far better for certainly Europeans. Now, of course, we have that chance ourselves, but as we reported a couple of months back, the British government doesn't seem to be interested in that either. So they've urged the UK government to get on talks with them, to get into talks about this post-Brexit car tariffs so that they can have a new joint trade pact around this. This is what we talk about when, Europe isn't going anywhere. So we've got to do trade pacts. And the thing is, as always, this is why Sunak and the rest of the Brexiteers do not want to do these trade pacts, because you start doing these trade pacts and it eases the trade. It eases this friction that we have built because of Brexit. Well, then at that point, people might start to question why we did Brexit in the first place. If doing these trade deals is such a good idea, these deals, then why aren't we part of the whole single market and customs union? And then, of course, eventually we end up back in there, as was always said. That is probably what our path is going to be. We'd end up back in the single market customs union, and then once they're in there, we'll be like, well, actually, why aren't we full members of the EU? And of course, then we'll end up being full members of the EU. We've always said that's what the path is going to be. And so far, at the moment, that is the path Keir Starmer seems to be taking as well. That, look, we'll do deals. We'll try and make Brexit work. We'll do Brexit as best we can, because eventually you cannot make Brexit ever fully work. You can try and iron out some of the lumps and bumps, but it will never be a smooth path. So eventually, Keir Starmer and Labour will be able to turn around and go, look, this is Brexit. We have tried to make it work as best as we possibly can, but it is never going to be as good as what we had. Can we please just, get rid of it and just, start talking with Europe about rejoining the EU, or even like the single market and customs union? I think that's the direction we're going to end up going in. It absolutely is. So, as always, another another fantastic Brexit win. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, there is links down below to my Patreon page and a motivation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. And of course, as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel. Even if you do, just click on the like and share button. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.